It's a war that never ended, at least in the world of cinema. The Second World War might have formally ceased after the surrender of Japan in 1945. But cinema has always brought back stories from those darkest days of human history. Perhaps it is the all-consuming impact of this war worldwide. Or maybe these are ultimate tales of human cruelty and courage at the same time that makes World War II movies always relevant, deeply moving, and immensely relatable. A definite list of best World War II movies is almost impossible. A decade-wise breakdown may provide a more nuanced take. However, we thought of taking a different route and go country-wise. And where else to start on World War II if not in Germany? While in most films, Germans are the villains of all World War II stories, is there no other perspective to their lives during those days of HoloCaust all around? After all, everyone was not a Nazi. How did the others manage, struggle, and survive? Here's Filmkopat's list of top 5 World War II movies from Germany, an attempt to look at those films from the fatherland which represented the lives of all Germans in the closest possible way. The Nazis, the Jews, the artists, women, and other commoners. Before we move on, he is requesting you once again to share and subscribe to our channel. We can keep on working hard on similar content only through your support and participation. At number 5 in our list, we have a Danish-German co-production, Land of Mine by director Martin Zandvliet. Land of Mine is a unique World War II film, one in which you suffer and feel for the oppressors after the war is over. Germany has lost. The young German prisoners of war are posted on the western Danish coastline to clear the landmines with their bare hands. At one such beach, Sergeant Karl Rasmussen is in charge of a German labor unit comprising of all inexperienced boys, barely teenagers. The rest of the film is about the struggle of these boys against Rasmussen's strong hate and apathy for German and their daily game of luck and fate in surviving the hidden mines. The boys remind of another German World War II film, The Bridge by Bernhard Wicki. It feels like those school-going German boys who had to take up arms in Wicki's film as nobody else was left to fight in their town are the ones who have now landed up in the Danish coastline after Germany's eventual loss. Land of Mine is a very courageous film, one which paints the most reliable bad guys in the history of cinema in a good light, in the retelling of one of the ignored, untold chapters of World War II. What happened to the convicted Germans? We have watched and read so many pieces about catching those Nazi officers who escaped after the war. But what happened to the ones who were caught or surrendered? Land of Mine states one such tale, and the beauty of the film is in showing how the fate of any convict remains the same, be Jews, Nazis, or Americans. That's what is war for you at its ground level. The decisions made in the cold chambers might have varied reasonings, but the fate of the soldiers and the commoners remain alike. Director Zandvliet suggests Germans or Danes, the characters in the middle of a war, are unavoidably human, capable of both love and hate, self-sacrifice and butchery. At number 4, we have another co-production between Germany and Austria. The Academy Award-winning The Counterfeiters by Stefan Ruzowitzki. Salomon Sally Sorowich, a German Jew, is a master counterfeiter, living a life of luxury in pre-war Berlin, until his luck finally runs out, and he is captured and shipped out to the Mauthausen concentration camp. He witnesses the horrors of HoloCaust, but Sally, determined to survive, looks out for himself and uses his skills to secure a more comfortable lifestyle during his incarceration. After taking advantage of his talents, his superiors transfer him to Sachsenhausen, where he is to oversee the largest counterfeiting operation in history, that by the Nazis to undermine the British and Americans. Thus, The Counterfeiters talks about one of the most controversial chapters of the war, that of Jewish collaboration with the Nazis. And now we have a criminal who is suddenly responsible for the lives of honest men whose passion for forgery gets allied with far darker ends than his own. Does helping the Nazis mean betraying the Jews? Even if it is just counterfeiting money to earn softer beds, better food, and longer life? That's the opinion Berger, the fiercely moral communist and Sally's fellow prisoner, presents. Rusovitsky's film stands on the autobiography of Berger. It is the struggle of conscience where the film's core strength lies. One adapts or dies, says Sally at one point, a theme that recurs often throughout the movie. But to what lengths one can go? How long can a person play by the rules of another sick man's game? And there is no answer and any easy resolution here. By the time the war ends, the dilemmas are over, we realize that the scars are irreversible. The trauma is there to stay. The war actually never ended for the all who faced it on the ground. At number 3, we have the man himself in Downfall by Oliver Hirschbiegel. The final days of Hitler in his Berlin bunker, as seen by his secretary Traudl Jung, played effortlessly by Alexandra Maria Lara. The brilliant Bruno Ganz plays Hitler like we have rarely seen before. A shrunken man with fluttering injured hand, calling out ultimatums to dead generals and planning counterattacks with troops which are already obliterated. Reduced to being just a shadow of the strong man he once was, Hitler eyes the world from his underground bunker. Still struggling with the idea that the war is lost. The film too mostly stays within the labyrinth of the bunker, infrequently surfacing above the ground to portray the fall of the Berlin defense and the misery of the civilians outside. The Downfall is an apt title for this movie. As aside from depicting an important event in history, the film is fundamentally about failure through a powerful and heartbreaking cinematic experience. In a clip at the end of the film, the real Miss Jung says that she has now realized that she should have known more about the crimes of the Nazis. But in a state of awe by the power of her employer, she went to do what she was asked. It gives us an understanding of how the German mass was hypnotized by Hitler and ready to sacrifice self and family for his cause. Perhaps this is our biggest takeaway from Downfall. It advocates to look beyond love for power into the power of love, since all but love will eventually fade away. At number 2, we have Mephisto by Istvan Szabo, a reflection of the age-old temptation of man in a retelling of Gothe's Faust, both in the film and the play within. Szabo has to be lauded for the way he contextualizes the German legend of Faust into Nazi Germany. The devil to whom Faust had sold his soul for unlimited knowledge are the Nazis in Szabo's film, The Mephisto. Henrik Hofgen, a passionate stage actor, succumbs to the Reich's doctrine in his obsession to fetch fame and wealth for his artistry. He first betrays the world around him, and then his inner values are swept away as he finally enters the inner sanctum of Nazi Germany. Szabo's film puts unique perspectives and raises extremely pertinent questions. It demonstrates how difficult it is to separate one's public and private roles and beliefs from politics. Why and how the elites, scholars, artists of Germany could let Nazism set in, leading to the HoloCaust, a question that should haunt any society that has let fascism survive. Arguably, Hofgen's character is actually based on the real-life Gustav Gründgens, an actor whose popularity rose within the Third Reich, championed by Göring. And boy, Klaus Maria Brandauer as Hofgen puts some performance. As a man who doesn't know where the stage ends and life begins. Is this true theatre on stage, or in his handshake with the Nazi Prime Minister behind the audience is the question. The Nazi men themselves are shown in a different light than what we are used to seeing. Opportunists more than savages in their deliberately suggestive uniforms like the costumes of an actor, subjugating them to the roles they are bound to play. Mephisto is Szabo's masterpiece, a vivid detail of the rise of the Nazi Party in the 20s, art and theatre of that time, and Berlin's social life, which was a stage itself. Do not miss this. As always, before moving to our number 1 placeholder, we have a special mention again. we have The Marriage of Maria Braun, arguably the finest feature of acclaimed German author Rainer Werner Fassbinder. The film opens with a shot of Hitler, and as it explodes, the hole left by its presence reveals Maria and her groom-to-be, Hermann. Within the debris created by the falling bombs all around, Maria marries Hermann, who immediately leaves her to join the war front. There begins our journey with Maria walking amidst the continuous explosions all around. Through her, Fassbinder provides his fiercest commentary towards a nation clinging to constantly crumbling past perceptions and a population yet to come out of the shadow of its past while doing whatever it takes to secure its future. The film is Fassbinder's emphasis on the price paid by individuals in the realization of Germany's remarkable reconstruction after the horrors of World War II. Hanna Skygula is phenomenal as Maria Braun, who will do anything to thrive, possesses no qualms about her actions, and is unwilling to hide her true nature. As she puts it, at least if you know you're unhappy, there's still hope. In the film's climax, we hear the 1954 World Cup match between Germany and Hungary going on. The German goalie turns away a shot. Germany wins, and the commentator gleefully screams, "Germany is again the master of the world." And just then, much like the beginning of the film, there's an explosion, destroying everything Maria Braun had built up, leaving the audience in a dilemma whether this time Maria herself caused the ignition. Maybe or maybe not. Fassbinder leaves us at one of the most debatable, mysterious, and innovative endings in world cinema. And now, for the number one position on our list, we present Phoenix by Christian Petzold. Phoenix is a gripping noirish study of treachery, identity, and survival. The war is over. Nellie, a Jewish survivor of the Auschwitz concentration camp, is looking for her husband Johnny, who works at a Phoenix club in Berlin. Johnny, who might or might not have betrayed her to the Nazis. Nellie, seriously disfigured due to bullet wounds, has now got a facial reconstruction, thus having an unsettling resemblance to her previous self. Resemblance only. Nina Hoss as Nellie is mesmerizing, one of the finest performances of the last decade. She personifies the post-war Germany, disfigured, humiliated, and still unsure of who betrayed its history. The broken walls of Berlin, the debris all around, the shadow play throughout, the dance bars, every frame of Phoenix gets you under the skin of a country ruined by pride, ego, and betrayal. How do we survive after everything is taken away? How do we return to a life that no longer exists? Whom do we trust now, when many of our old friends who were Nazi or collaborators during the war? How do we react to someone who returns who we thought was dead? And where do we go when nothing is left of our former life? Phoenix has no answers, as Germany didn't have any after the World War. Thus, Phoenix is a film which connects all the other films we have spoken about in our list. The poetic, powerful, moving climax of Phoenix will give you goosebumps. Even as an audience, it gets difficult to look Nellie in her eyes. The betrayal she faced wasn't necessarily by her husband, family, or her countrymen alone. She was betrayed by the human race, and Phoenix establishes this difficult truth like hardly before. Well, that was our list for today. It was an extremely difficult writing and presentation for us, bringing together chapters from the most horrific times of human history. We attempted to take you through more personal stories of men and women, friends and neighbors, artists and commoners of World War II-ridden Germany, away from the conventional accounts of war strategies or battleground courage to understand the devastation that World War II was in a slightly different perspective. Hope this made sense to you. Please subscribe to our channel and share our videos to help us keep growing. Thank you for watching.